I want to start out first defining of who we are and what we are. Certainly, in 20 years ago when we formed the U.S.-Ukraine Foundation, there was no need for another Ukrainian-American organization. We have more than enough. We were formed for a very specific purpose. And it's interesting that Miroslav was talking about a mission statement. This is our mission statement that we came up with 20 years ago. And as I look at it, fortunately or unfortunate, it's still valid today. We had thought that by the 2000 we would be done with this mission statement. But primarily it is, our whole essence of being was to facilitate U.S.-Ukraine relations, but to also support the democratic development, free market reform, and human rights in Ukraine. But also, because every organization, Ukrainian-American organization, was involved in these ideas and these needs, we saw part of our mission is to reach out beyond the Ukrainian-American community. And if you know anything about our history and our projects, you will see that we have been true to that strategy and an approach. Here is just a map of one of our largest projects that we had in Ukraine, which was a community partnership project, which you will see our reach. It was throughout Ukraine, and I can proudly say that our program touched every city, town of Ukraine. We trained over 40,000 local government officials. And I must say that to some extent, Miroslav was talking about near-death experiences. We've had a few of those ourselves. But over the 20 years, we have been able to get over $30 million of grants outside of the Ukrainian-American community to do projects in Ukraine. Now, just again, in terms of our strategy and approach and who we are, we have always approached working on a very strict nonpartisan basis, and I'm very proud of that. And the reason I can say that, because I had little to do with that. It was our staff in Ukraine, primarily led by Markian Belinsky, who has, what I have said, successfully managed the political minefield of Ukraine through various governments and parties. And this chart happily illustrates what we did. These are 4 of our graduates or alums of our partnership program who have now reached higher office. And now the, I guess, actual almost mayor of Kyiv is Alexander Popov, who actually, when we started working in '96, was a member of the Communist Party. And in this letter that he wrote several years ago, he does credit his participation in our program for his success. He became Minister of Communal Services. Again, that is not my credit, because he was partnered with a city like Ithaca, New York, and through that 10-year relationship was able to do a lot of concrete and positive things. So we cross over all, like I say, political factions of Ukraine. In fact, his first advisor is Alexander Mazuchak, former mayor of Kamenets-Podilsky. We have also had a myriad of exchange programs. We have brought over 500 Ukrainian and U.S. officials, government officials. We have brought over 3,000 students in our summer work travel program, and we have other programs. We did youth leadership. We've participated in the Open World program. We brought over several hundred delegates for that. And I'm going to share this with you, because again, I can do this without false pride. We received last week the Library of Congress Award for National Grantee of Merit. There are some of us who really can understand what this means for us as an organization, given our 20-year history of working here. But I share it with you because it's not only the success of the foundation, but many of you who are former alums of the foundation, volunteers, and supporters. And while we've had, like I said, several near-death experiences, even more recently, this recognition from the Library of Congress is something that we will really we do treasure, and we really appreciate. Now, future activities and opportunities for cooperation. We have always been open and working with organizations, whether it's the Washington Group, the Shevchenko Society, our offices and conference rooms are open. We have, over the years, developed in the new media, for instance, webcasting, which we use all the time and we make available. We like having different discussions, and we've had discussions about orphanages. Lemke, was that last night or 2 nights ago? We had a very interesting discussion about the landscape of Washington for monuments and the role and what the significance of the Holodomor monument could be or should be, irrespective of the process, who's going to do what, who's going to be in charge. But just having a gentleman, Roger Lewis, who is a top-notch expert, written books, has participated in many monument juries, etc., to just really talk about what should a monument do, what is it you're trying to convey, will it have a function? And unfortunately, I think, if I might express myself, it appears that none of that has really taken place. The previous government rushed because they wanted to have something done, so, where things stand now. But again, we are open to those kinds of programs, and we're happy to facilitate those kinds of discussions and activities. We've had, SUM has had their youth leadership programs in our offices, so we moved. We haven't quite yet settled in, but we are still open for business or for those kinds of cooperation. Specifically, I'll highlight just 2 programs. I think 2 years ago at Walter's conference, we announced Ukraine 2020. And we've developed it further, and the whole theme of it is supporting Ukraine's European integration. You see my new favorite, Shevchenko, there. Because again, I think it conveys what we are hoping to do with this effort. And it has 3 elements. Continue focus on exchanges. We believe this is a very important priority. The more that Ukrainians, be it in government or private sector, have the opportunity to come here and vice versa, the better we think it is for many things, including the U.S.-Ukraine relations. Discover Ukraine. We are #1 on travel to Ukraine on Yahoo, Google, and Bing. I don't do that. Fortunately, there are people in our staff, John and others, who have done that. And the third is Public Policy Dialogue 2. And the reason it's 2 is because it's the sequel to something that we had in 2004 to 2006 that was funded by the State Department. This dialogue program, we announced it in September, press release. Interestingly enough, 10 days after we announced it, Carnegie Moscow announced Russia 2020. So perhaps we'll have a conference with the 2 2020s discussing things. In our previous dialogue, we had 4 task forces. We've expanded. These are to mirror some of the bilateral discussions. We have just added, within the last month, a national security task force. That was based on some discussions we've had, not only with the ambassador, but others, that this needed its own special focus. I think this is an important initiative, and now is not the time perhaps to talk about why it's so important. I am personally a little disheartened and discouraged about the level of engagement that has taken place on the bilateral in terms of the number of working groups and actual kind of activities. For instance, the fact that on the business sector, the focus was energy, and yet because Ukraine has declared, and President Yanukovych has said that he wants Ukraine to move up 40 places in the World Bank Ease of Doing Business, I think it was a missed opportunity not to have that discussion at the same time as opportunities in the energy sector. But again, I think that's a discussion for another time. This is the 20th anniversary of Ukraine's independence, and it's our anniversary. And so we are pleased to announce that September 2011. We don't have the exact dates because a lot of things are still in play. We are going to organize a day-long or possibly two-day event highlighting the successes of Ukraine's 20 years, but also looking to the future. And we are pleased to announce that President Bush and Kravchuk have agreed to be honorary co-chairs of this event. Ambassador Roman Popeduk and Ambassador Reznik will be the actual co-chairs for the event. We will have a leadership conference, which will be driven by the Ukraine 2020 Policy Dialogue task forces, and we are expecting to have a fun gala reception with the three divas of Ukraine. So, as soon as we know exact dates in September, we'll let you know, but we will be looking to working with the various organizations. We're expecting support from the U.S. Embassy. We'll be talking to the Business Council and TWIG and everybody else. So there's a lot of challenges, but I think there's also some things to celebrate, and we hope to address both later this year. Thank you.